The City Council Committee on Finance, May 20, 2020, Wednesday, calling this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chairman Iglesias.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Ryan. Vice Chairwoman Ryan is absent. Councilwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
You have 4 present and 1 absent. You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's do some housekeeping measures so we can keep moving along. As you know, our agendas keep on, unfortunately, we get backlogged. But this evening, I need a motion to continue on tonight's agenda, the Human Resource Benefits Department and Department of Innovations to the next appropriate finance meeting.
So
For that.
Second.
Councilman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Anthony.
Second.
And Councilman Castillo. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And then now we're going to go to, I missed some, is the, what's it called, the OEO, Office Economic Opportunity, are they online?
I don't see that.
Okay, they're supposed to be on for tonight, so, you know what, I'm going to keep rolling. Do we have the law department online?
Mr. Chair, we thought you were taking Office of Economic Opportunity. I can get him in 1 second. He was just leaving a meeting. So I'm going to text him right now. He'll be on momentarily.
How about the information technologies here?
Yes.
Okay, and border license? All right. So we'll do is that, we're going to start from there then. We'll start with the information technology. But first, let's do the swearing in. I think we have Mr. Mancini, Ms. Lindberg, Mr. Severia. Anybody else from Office of Information Technology this time? All right, Madam Clerk, can you swear them in, please?
Everybody, please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you God?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Please state your name for the record and your position. Starting with Mr. Mancini.
Lawrence J. Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence.
Krista Lindberg, Deputy Finance Director.
Jim Silveria, the Chief Information Officer.
Okay, thank you. Let me do some some record keeping. Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Kerwin's present, Treasurer Lombardi's present, Internal Auditor Costa's present, City Solicitor Cheverini's present, and President Pro Tem Correa is present.
So noted.
Thank you. So let's start with that. Mr. Mancini, do you have your multi-box or box report on this one?
I do, sir.
Do we have that item, Madam Clerk? Where would that be? No?
Chairman?
Yes, Councilman.
I got that from the city clerk, but I can't click on it. I got economic opportunity, law, information technology, but it's not, I can't click and open it up like the others I could to read the infamous 3-box report.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't have one either, so.
And I will go print one out for
But
you.
I don't know if the committee members can. Other committee members, do you have the report in front of you, the report?
It's open.
So once you see if you can print them out, then you want to resend them?
Sure.
So I guess we're gonna have to wait, so we'll stand at ease at this time until we get it squared away.
Thank you.
Senior.
Committee members, have you taken a look and see if you received your 3-box reports?
I have not. Who was sending them? Sean or Tina?
Yes.
Yes, Sean.
I got one late last night, like I said, but when I click on it, I can't open it.
Councilman Anthony, do you have it?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, what did you say?
Did you receive the 3-box reports for the law department, the
Yes, I did,
information
sir.
technology?
Yes, they're on the
You have 'em?
documents, yes.
Perfect, oh, you have.
Thank you.
Chief, check your documents. Councilwoman
I'm sorry,
Castillo, do you
they're
have
on
it?
the website, you know, that's updated. I think they're all included there unless these are supplemental that you're talking about.
I'm talking the ones that have from the finance department, it's the 3-box reports, and do you have that?
I believe I do. I'll
Okay.
check.
Okay. Carmen, do you have the 3-box reports? Did you receive them?
I check again, but I don't see it.
Okay. Councilman Taylor, have you been able to?
I have not. I have them listed. He sent them to me. All the ones that we went through, I can highlight and bring up, but the ones that are coming up are black. He sent it under resending quick link to Providence fiscal budget. When I click on it, all the ones that are coming up are in black and I can't open them. Only the ones we went through, police, fire, DPW, all those.
All right, so.
I don't have.
So we'll keep trying a little bit longer, and we'll ask Sean to resend them again.
Who are we doing first? Information? IT?
I was gonna do IT.
Mr. Chairman, I can definitely open mine and pull mine up.
Great, all right.
From the resend link that we received last night because we were having trouble, right?
Councilman Taylor, this is Erlen. Try refreshing your link.
Wait a minute, you just sent me another email. Hold on. Tina sent it to me. I got it.
I sent it to Councilwoman Castillo.
I got the IT and the law from Tina.
And then I just sent you OEO in case we do OEO.
Send it to Carmen too.
And I sent
Yeah,
it to
I check right now.
John should send something as well if they can't open those.
got it. Got it.
Okay.
Councilwoman Miller is present.
And Councilwoman Miller, should we continue now, committee members?
Ready?
Let's go. Madam Clerk? Okay. So we're gonna go back on the record. Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Miller is present also.
So noted.
So let's start with, I guess, let's try it again with IT again, right? So, Mr. Mancini, what we're gonna do is enter into the record. Why don't we do this now, I guess? Put in order what's been identified. We have a 3-box report identified as a law department, 101-105 law department with multiple pages attached, an organizational chart, identified as B12. We have another report from the finance department identified as 101-204 information technology. It's a multi-page report, 3 boxes with organizational chart, etc. Identified as B13. We have another memo from finance department identified as 101-903 vital statistics. It's a multi-page document with 3-box report and organizational charts and et cetera. Identified as B14. They have a motion to do that by
Motion.
Councilman,
So moved.
Councilman Taylor, second by
Second.
Councilman Castillo. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Those matters have been entered into the record as the appropriate exhibits, Madam Clerk. So let's go to B13, which will be informational technology. Mr. Mancini, and we'll start from there, please, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, Information Technology 101-204. Information Technology, this is a department that has no revenue generation. And as far as expenditures, under the category of salaries, the total salaries for FY21 are budgeted at $1,407,280, representing a decrease of $40,524 over the FY20 budget. This change is due to defunding the process improvement strategy and moving the performance analyst position to the human resources budget, along with the increased attrition as the city plans to delay posting vacancies and will not be filling non-essential positions in FY21. As to benefits, for 2021, the benefits are budgeted at $909,979, an increase of $43,413 over the prior year budget. As to services, total services in FY20 have been budgeted at $1,329,748, an increase of $17,348 over the FY20 budget. And this increase, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, is due to the need to move additional offices to the O'Sheen network, along with increases in annual software licensing fees. Under supplies, the FY20 budget has been budgeted at $237,275, a decrease of $108,228 from the FY20 budget. This decrease is primarily due to a reduction in computer equipment expense. The FY20 budget included costs to upgrade computers and servers for the phase-out of Windows 7. All necessary upgrades were performed in FY20
Mr. Mancini?
and are no longer...
Hang on a
Yes,
second.
sir.
Committee members, is your box report all cut off too?
Yes.
Right, you can't, it doesn't have all the, it doesn't have, as I'm going through it, Mr. Mancini, what's into the record is, everything's cut in half. So for example, you're referencing sections and they don't, there's no way to reference it in the paperwork we have. I'm not saying you didn't do it. The point is that if you can see it, it didn't come through how you normally do the 3-box report. You can see where we have the legend here. See what I have?
Okay, perhaps Ms.
So the
Lindbergh
problem-
can...
Mike,
I'm sorry?
I thought
Mine
perhaps
came
Ms. Lindbergh could
Chief, do you
resend them.
do you have the legend on the side?
what's that? Sorry, I can see the numbers, yeah.
Do you have what the numbers are for?
The
All the way
narrative.
to the left.
Yeah.
You mean the narrative?
No.
No, the
That's what
three
we're-
box, the 3-box report. It's got the numbers and then postage, a number in telephone, a number in vacation, salaries, whatever. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, great. Does the other committee members have the same, their reports came through complete? All right.
I don't
So
see
what-
it.
Like it says 5010 salaries.
Correct.
Okay, all right. All right, then, we'll just have them reprint them over here on our side. Okay, Mr. Messina, why don't you continue?
Yeah.
My apologies. We were at supplies, and my final statement on supplies of the narrative, Mr. Chairman, was that there's a decrease due to reduction in computer equipment. The FY20 budget included costs to upgrade computers and servers for the phase-out of Windows 7. All necessary upgrades were performed in FY20 and are no longer necessary in FY21. And as to capital, there are no expenses budgeted in this category. That completes the narrative, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
On the big board committee.
With your permission, if I may go into the three-box report at page 21. Okay, so the three-box
Yes,
report,
please.
Mr. Chairman, the boxes to the left, comparing the FY20 to the FY21 budget, will show a decrease in salaries of $49,781. Again, we had spoken to that this would represent a decline based on the non-posting of unnecessary positions or non-essential positions, along with the placeholder that has already been put in place in the budget throughout the Class A budget, Class A departmental employees. As to overtime, the department's overtime budget will be reduced by $8,040 from the prior year, and there'll be an increase in the salary temp raise by $10,000, and differential pay has decreased by $1,368. Longevity has increased by $8,665. Total salary reductions for the for FY21, $40,524 reduction over the prior year. As to benefits will decline by $43,000 as stated earlier. Moving to the other categories, telephone expense will increase by $11,000. Repairs to equipment will change by $500 reduction. Travel will decline by $8,500. Budget this current year is $9,000. It will decline to $500. Private contractors will be reduced by $4,000, and information technology services will increase by $19,348. If I could direct your attention to page 22, please. Page 22. At the computer equipment, there is a decrease of $106,500 for the year 21 over 20. And then going down further, office supplies, there is a increase of $600, and stationery has a decrease of $2,325. That represents the total budget for FY21 versus FY20. If I could redirect your attention, Mr. Chairman, back to page 21 to the center boxes where we're comparing FY20 budget with the FY20 projection. Salaries are expected to be below budget. This is based on attrition, and there were some vacancies during the year. Also, we expect to see overtime below budget, and callback will be amount that was not budgeted at FY20, but we're experiencing some callback expense. Differential pay is under budget, as well as longevity is above budget at $6,546. Benefits are not the purview of the department. Going down below on page 21, telephone expense this year was $6,000 higher than budgeted. Repairs to equipment is $2,226 below budget, and travel and training was $1,377 below budget. Private contractors came in at $100,000 or $50,000 below budget, and information technology services came in at $100,275 below budget. Turning to page 22, continuing with that report, we see that computer equipment will more than likely achieve budget of $310,000, as there was a comprehensive computer equipment and technology changes throughout the city during FY20. Office expense and office supplies just about at budget, and stationery had a reduction of about $14,789. Overall, Mr. Chairman, this department is at or below budget on its expenses as we project for FY20. Included in your packet, Mr. Chairman, is a the organizational chart for the department, and the director has included his annual report and submitted that to the city clerk. I'm available for any questions, as is Director Jim Silverio, the city's CIO.
Madam Attorney Laura, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
The department is receiving overtime. Last fiscal year, mid-year, they received increases, but I thought there was an agreement that the overtime would be straight time in some areas. And these are union members getting the overtime. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are they earning it at time and a half?
So under the agreement, hours 35 through 40 are paid as straight time, and hours beyond 40 in a week are paid at time and a half.
Okay.
What ended up happening is because of the pay codes that we're using, the straight time portion of that falls into the callback budget account. So that's where we see the projected $6,531 in callback for this year.
Okay, but you're using the straight time code in the callback, and it's collapsed down.
Correct.
Okay. Another question. In your annual report, thank you for providing it. Under summer recreation program, you received $24,000 for fees for camps. Where did that $24,000 go?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
In your annual report, in May and June of 2019, it says that you accepted 5,000 camp registrations with $24,000 collected in fees.
Oh,
Do you know where that?
The recreation application for them. I'm not exactly privy to where the funds are deposited. That is a recreation program. It goes into, I believe it goes into their account. It does not go into.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Silverio is accurate. That money does not get budgeted or receipted at the information technology budget. It more than likely is in the recreation department budget, and I'll have either Ms. Lindbergh or Ms. Silverio check that and get back to the internal auditor tomorrow.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Questions by committee members? Oh, Councilman Taylor.
Yes, overtime chance. Let me see. Salaries temporaries. What is that for? Obviously temporary.
May I ask you, 1 second, may I ask everybody, if you're not speaking, could you just mute on your side, because we're getting a lot of feedback? Councilman Taylor?
Salaries temporaries. I know it's temporary salaries, but where? I don't see it listed on the organizational chart. Or what is that for?
So the changes in the org chart this year, under the innovation group, several of their staff, those positions are not being filled in the next fiscal year. They have requested $10,000 to pay, I believe, a position for a fellow who will be working with them in the next fiscal year.
So the application project manager from November of 19 and the system administrator, those are not going to be filled. Is that correct?
I would like to post them in the next fiscal year as soon as we are able. They had been posted, and we were not able to fill them very early this year.
All right. My next question is travel. What's that for? Where you guys going?
So we use that account for travel and training, And we don't have any travel planned under our budget for next year. We do have a placeholder in there of $500 for some online classes that the IT staff will, are anticipating participating in next year.
All right, so the 9,000, well, probably was, wait a minute, hold on a minute. The 7623 this year so far was training?
Travel and training, we had several people this was actually last summer, later in the summer, attend a Lawson training conference.
Okay. And the next question is telephone. Why is that going up?
So the telephone account is used to pay our network utility bill. So we're the city of Providence, like many communities throughout the state, we're a member of the Ocean network. It's OSHEAN. And we participate on that network for high-speed data access among city buildings and also for our internet service. This year, after the start of the fiscal year, and certainly after we had budgeted, we added one more node onto that network. That is the telecommunications building. And so we moved them off their old service and moved them onto a high-speed fiber service at that building. That accounts for the additional charge. There was a one-time installation and equipment charge that we had to pay. And then next year, the budget is going up slightly to account for that additional charge and a minor increase that we're anticipating in the service fees.
Okay, so let me ask you the question, because you're probably the might give me an answer. As you know, I worked for the fire department before, retired in communications, and I'm trying to find, I ask every year, the Annie and Allie, I'm not sure if you know what that is, that comes from 911 to the police and fire. It gives you the number and location. It's just like a transfer from 911. And that was fiber cables that needed to be put in. There's like 30 communities have it, but we don't. Do you know if that is en route? Because I've been told for the last 10 years that we're getting it. So
I'm not familiar with that particular project. That's something that we could check in with the public safety team and see where they are in the installation of.
Okay, that's it. No more questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. The treasurer, did you have a question? All right. Committee members?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, no, I do not.
Okay. All right. Just a few. Okay, just a couple. Information technology, just quickly, can you just describe exactly what that department does for the city specifically?
Oh, we host a wide variety of services for the entire city. We have a network group that supports the communications network, the data network throughout city offices. That includes our primary offices at City Hall at 444 Westminster Street. Throughout the public safety network, fire stations, police stations, emergency response, the telecommunications office, as well as the parks offices, recreation offices, and the workforce training office up on Reservoir. Additionally, over that network, we support the desktop, laptop computers that the staff use. We support online services, so that would include the city's multiple websites for the cities, city departments, a number of online services, applications, online bill pays, tax payments, online data request services. And then on the application side, we support the continued development and advancement of our ERP system. That's the Lawson platform, our tax collection system, our assessment system, our recording system, our online permitting systems, and a number of other applications that are used throughout the DPW department, recreation department, and parks offices. This year, we had the unique opportunity to very quickly and very vastly expand our remote support for staff who've moved out of city offices and are currently working from home. So we are managing remote access for city staff to continue city operations, and that includes new hardware and making broader use of the services that we have for remote access.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So let me ask you this question. Do you have the large list of people who are actually working, that you've connected to working remotely these past 2 months, 3 months?
I had provided a list of people we had supplied laptops to, and those are that would include the laptops that we purchased, say from mid-March through mid-May.
Okay. How many laptops did we purchase from mid-March to mid-May?
There were approximately 100.
Okay. So how many laptops are out there now?
We have over 250 laptops that we have assigned to city and council staff to date.
All right. So, but when the COVID-19 came, how many more people did you connect to work from, telework from home? How many people were you? That'd be your department's job, right?
For the most part, yes. So I provided a list of the laptop recipients that we added on during that time. However, there are also online services that city staff can access on whether it's a mobile device or on their personal computer. They would be able to get to, depending on their job and their department, they may be able to get to these online services without needing to receive a city laptop.
Would you? So you don't know whether or not they're using them or not. You just know that that's out there, right? At this time.
I know that we've assigned those laptops to staff. As far as how much they're using, that's not up to me.
Right, I get it. How about, do you handle the telephone systems? You said, do you handle that aspect too?
Not directly, only to the extent that a lot of the telephone calls are routed over our network. But as far as managing the telephone system, that is handled by the telecommunications department.
Do you know if there's been any, during these COVID-19 issues, do we do any aspects to do call forwarding for admins and, ministerial workers at all?
I wouldn't be involved in that. That would be handled through the telecommunications office.
Okay, great. You said, which office would it be?
Telecommunications under public safety.
Right. So, Gina, internal order, mental order, can you reach out to them and find that answer, please? I'm going to go to the next. With the advent of COVID-19, actually prior to COVID-19, there are a lot of cities, small and big, and small and great, that they actually have done this prior. They have this big Wi-Fi system for people who live in the city, in which they actually can utilize it and just connect to the city's Wi-Fi or that town's Wi-Fi. Knowing what we know now, that Wi-Fi is something that is now being used in such a way that's the next level. All the Zoom and all the Skyping and all the educational aspects, and having a city that to make sure your children, the students, parents, that we have access to it, they can do their jobs. I know that I've researched several cities that have allowed and provided free Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi system in their city. Question is, how could we? Here's my take. Now I'll give you an example, and I'll just use an example. City plans on spending millions of dollars for some project. Knowing what we know now, what would it cost for the city, or how can we go about doing a Wi-Fi initiative for the city of Providence? Because in the future, we're probably going to continue to do more schooling and teleworking and all that other stuff. At some parts of this, where we are today, is going to be a new norm. So, do you know how that could be played out for the citywide application? That would seem to me one of the biggest things we could ever do for the citizens of Providence. Can you talk to me about that aspect?
Well, I can talk a bit about the concept, but I'd like to just bring to your attention a couple of the places where we have provided city Wi-Fi. So in addition to the city offices, some of which include public meeting space, we've extended Wi-Fi in recreation centers. And most of the recreation centers also have a computer lab. We were actually in the process of making upgrades to those labs so that the youth in the area would be able to use basically.
No, I realize. I'm talking about literally a constituent sitting in their home.
Right.
Constituent sitting on a park bench.
So
I get a laundry list of cities that have done this, and it's basically these, you can go anywhere in that particular city or town, and you connect. My question to you is not about expanding into our rec centers. I'm asking about citywide.
Right.
I'm talking about bringing the city. Here's one thing I've learned: we need to start thinking ahead. And one of the things that we're not thinking about is the fact that, if anything, we've learned the city's so reliant on tourism, urban traffic from Boston. We're relying on schools and medicine and restaurants and bars. And if anything at all, those things can't be the end-all, end-all. A modern city that could be attractive to future business or future jobs, even people, constituents sitting in their homes. It would be a citywide Wi-Fi initiative. My question to you is, can you talk? Do you have any information about that? And could you tell me how we could go about to do that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I've done some research already on it, and it seems to be, it's the thing that any modern city or any modern town who's attracting true innovative workforce, that's something that's being offered and actually being implemented. So can you give us any guidance on how we could go? Let the reflective Vice Chair Ryan's present. Give us any guidance on how we can create a city initiative to create Wi-Fi citywide. How can we go about doing that?
Well, I can tell you that that is a very, very large initiative. That is essentially creating a new public utility. And that's beyond the capacity of our current department in its current form. The administration has explored several concepts and pilots, which would utilize one idea. We were speaking with Prism, who manages the streetlights. And the nice thing about those is there's already a network, there's already power, and those are spread throughout the city. So there's been some new advances in the devices that you can attach to a streetlight, which would allow Wi-Fi to be broadcast from each light. And then every so many lights, you would need a connection out to the internet. So
well, since we own the lights now, city owns the street lights, okay? So my question is that I'm looking for guidance on how we can proceed with creating a citywide initiative for Wi-Fi for all.
Right. So that was one concept. I think that what would need to be done is to get a group together that's going to prioritize this and find funding for it, come up with some options, and it might not be just one option that works throughout the entire city, but depending on the space, Wi-Fi only travels so far. So depending on the landscape, the building density, and the availability of an internet connection and power, kind of come up with a menu of options to be able to expand Wi-Fi access throughout different parts of the city. But that's going to take a larger group, dedicated to that effort with some funding behind it.
Well, we understand it's funding. I mean, the city spends money on all sorts of different projects, but not necessarily projects that would actually bring us to the next century. So you, could you reach out to the internal auditor tomorrow? And I've been working on this initiative, so could you have a conversation with her tomorrow and give her some guidance to her directly, and then we can then proceed, and then I'll start expressing the initiative to the full council at a later date. All right. So I just want to understand something right now, very quickly. Is the director of your division? I'm kind of confused. Is there not a director of your division, or there's a director of your division? Is there? What does it say?
Well, I am the director of the IT.
Are you acting? Are you acting?
No.
Okay.
So there's another position for the Chief Innovation Officer. And
Director of Innovation, is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but that is a different position.
Is the Director of HR also an acting Director of Innovation of some sort in somewhere?
Currently, yes.
So they're in that, the innovation is in your unit?
Innovation falls under IT, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is that going to get rectified in this budget, Mr. Mancini?
As submitted, Mr. Chairman, it is consistent with the prior year. I would have to have
like that. Is it going to get rectified?
I would imagine it would. I'll have a discussion with our Chief of Staff and the Director of Operations, as well as Mr. Acavaria in HR, to determine how best to proceed. But yes, I'm aware of that.
So is the person who's the Director of HR getting paid out of the HR budget, getting paid out of the budget?
I believe getting paid out of the HR budget.
Okay. So then this position is you're proposing to be funded. It's not filled right now, correct?
That is correct.
And there's a couple other positions that are funded but not filled yet presently. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I would advise Director Severa that you don't hire anybody right now, because you may only be hiring for 1 month. Because if their money's in this fiscal year, don't assume the money's going to be in it for next fiscal year. It probably will not be prudent to do that at this time. In other words, you do it at your own peril. Okay, so I'm putting you on notice now, so you'll be aware of that. All right, that the city's finances have serious issues, and then the last thing we do is directors hiring people last second for a month, and then you're going to have to give them the bad news when their position is not there. So I'm going to just put you on notice now to let you know what's happening. Internal Audit, do you have a question?
The Director of Innovation is still in IT, but they're actually moving an employee who is in innovation over to HR. Why are they doing that if innovation is still in IT?
Director?
I would have to defer to name Emmanuel Echeverria as both the Chief Innovation Officer and the HR Director on how he's managing the changes with the staff.
So, Mr. Chairman, my apologies. Earlier today, I had asked you for that consideration to lighten tonight's schedule because it included benefits, HR, and the medical consultant.
Yeah.
And you were gracious enough to accommodate that. I wasn't thinking that he would have a need to weigh in on these matters that are associated with IT. So I can have him report directly to the internal auditor any information tomorrow, or we could ask that question when he's interviewed next week as part of the HR department.
Well, we can do it both, I guess. But, so is that director actually still milling around in your department, Director Silverio?
So, no, he's working primarily in HR as far as I know.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, if I can follow up?
Yes, to the order.
Did you say that the temps in your budget are for innovation as well?
Director?
There is $10,000 scheduled under the temp account, and I believe that they're looking for a paid internship or fellow to work under innovation in the next year, in the next fiscal year, that is.
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, there's the director funded and that employee who just moved over to HR. I don't know what that department's doing. There's no one left in it. I'm just for the record, I just want to let you know that.
Which department?
Innovation.
They're innovating. Don't you get it, internal order? They're being innovative. They're applying innovation to the budget. You got it? That's what they're doing. They're embedding the innovators. You know? So I just want to make sure I understand something. They're looking also to do, I know it's not much, but to do to hire an intern or something, is that what you're saying?
I believe so.
Is that right? Yeah. All right, so, Tony, you have to look at that. And the only reason why I say I'm concerned is that with the governor and the state's budget facing almost $1 billion deficit, and they're talking about layoffs, they're talking about furlough days, at least up at the state level. We know the city's not. Layoffs and furlough days and having to deal with revenue increases here and there. And, by the way, the state has frozen and actually removed all their internships for the upcoming fiscal year. And one of the reasons is they felt that if you were going to cut an employee's pay, it's kind of insulting on one end. On the other end, you were hiring a bunch of interns. So you were hurting your workforce, so an intern. So that's the same thing. And I realize this budget doesn't have anything like that in it, but let's not assume that this budget's going to be the same budget when it gets passed out of committee. So internally, look for any of these kinds of little internships, any stuff that's buried in his budgets. I think you need to identify accordingly, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Director, can I talk to you about, you had your private contractors line. I guess you had it funded for 150. Looks like today you spent about 100. That's right. You project to spend 100. Is that right?
That is correct in the current fiscal year.
But you're still looking for 150 again. Is that right?
That is correct. We had projects scheduled for this spring. Several.
I'm sorry, what's the schedule? What do you have scheduled? I'm sorry, say it again.
Sorry, we had several projects, scheduled for this spring, which we've postponed because, which accounts for the reduction in the cost for this year.
What were those projects, Director?
One of them was going to be, actually within city offices, was going to be an upgrade of the Wi-Fi system throughout City Hall in particular, the public safety offices, and 444 Westminster. And part of that project was going to be working with an outside consultant to help with the design and positioning of location and positioning of the Wi-Fi services throughout the building. City Hall is a particular challenge just due to the construction and the limitations in running wires throughout the office. So we're going to be looking for some help in designing that properly to be most cost effective and useful.
So you said City Hall, you said Public Safety Building, I guess you said. What was the other building?
The Dorley Building at 444 Westminster. We also have Wi-Fi access points throughout almost every office in the city. So this is going to be a combination of some consulting work, some design work, and some hardware purchases.
Okay. And information technology, that budget, that's utilized for what? The fees, copyright, what is that for?
That budget is used primarily, that's the title, that's the account that we use for software contracts. So we have a number of software contracts that support city operations. There's about 35 different lines under there for everything from our Lawson annual support, our tax collection software, Govern annual support, AutoCAD, Microsoft licensing, several systems to support some of our security devices, our backup software, our firewall support contracts, some of the email services that we have, as well as the online services that we offer through meeting management, through services such as this with Zoom, and let's say our online permitting system.
When you go to computer equipment, new computers, I guess we budgeted 310. It looks like you're going to spend 310, but now you're looking at you change your budget to 203. What are you talking? Is this what kind of? Is this the normal computers that you buy? What is it for?
Okay, so computer equipment is generally the hardware. So that would be the laptop on your desk, the desktops throughout the city, monitors, and some printers, as well as some of the network hardware that supports all of those connections. In the current fiscal year, we had some large purchases where we were upgrading desktop computers throughout the city. We're keeping pace with Microsoft support in their end of life of Windows 7. So we needed to upgrade all of the Windows 7 computers to Windows 10. So that was a major project for us and a major purchase. Next year, we're in pretty good shape as far as hardware goes. So I'm not anticipating the same level of purchasing and the need for that budget next year.
So will 203,500 be enough for the upcoming fiscal year?
As far as computer equipment for the projects and the hardware that we have planned, I believe it will. There is another line outside of this budget, which we're using for the laptops in particular, and other items related to the COVID response. I'm anticipating up to $100,000 in purchases under that account. That covers the laptops that we've been purchasing over the past 3 months or so.
So couldn't we also utilize the COVID-19 money based on that we had to purchase additional equipment to get people to actually function and work? I know the city didn't do much of that, but maybe at least for some of this equipment. And why can't we use it as, who's doing the tallying for the COVID-19, Mr. Mancini? Was it Mrs. The Commissioner of Public Safety's office is doing the tallying for COVID-19, correct? So
as it pertains to public safety, yes. For the rest of the city, it's being done by Sabrina Solaris, the Chief Operating Officer.
So couldn't this portion of these last 3, or at least 2 months of purchasing computers and stuff in reaction to COVID-19, we could potentially get reimbursed by the federal government for?
So my my interpretation of that, Mr. Chairman, and I would defer to Ms. Solaris and perhaps maybe Mr. Silveria. There probably are essential personnel who previously did not have a laptop computer. Perhaps they worked from their desktop at City Hall and there wasn't a need where they were using a laptop computer. Not to say that they shouldn't have had one, but they didn't use it. That may disqualify the notion of essential personnel who now needs a computer that's paid for by the federal government. That's only my opinion. It would have been those employees, many of them who are bargaining unit, who previously heretofore were not assigned a laptop computer because they came to work at City Hall or 444, the traditional workday 8:30 to 4:30. They worked off a desktop computer. But those employees, while non-essential, have been named critical, and they're now working from home doing critical duties in support of many things. In fact, even in the finance department, we have people who are helping with matters associated with the assessor's tax levy. And those folks have been named as critical, non-essential at the moment. Had they not had technology before that was remote, I believe that the IT department would have provided that. Had that had to be purchased specifically for that reason, I believe, yes, that would qualify for reimbursement under COVID-19.
Great. So maybe we could work on that. Director, I just wanted to double check. I know you mentioned it. Presently, right now, all your workers, are they working from home?
All of the IT staff are currently working full-time, both from home, and I have several staff working in city buildings as well.
So they've been working through this whole, these last 3 months?
Absolutely.
Actually working, putting a full 8 hours a day in, et cetera, right?
Generally more, yes.
Okay, great. That's good. That's good to hear. Good. Any other questions, comments by committee members?
No, Mr. Chair.
Is that President Pro Tem? President Pro Tem Correa?
Yes. I have a question regarding, I had some numerous conversations with the IT department regarding the computer lab that was installed by IGT at Jocelyn Recreation Center. They invested $25,000 into this computer lab. They gave us 1 year worth of free internet service provider or something. And then from there, we were supposed to renew it. The city never took the obligation to renew what we had with them. And the computer lab has been down for over a year. We've been trying to get it back up and running for the neighborhood kids. And we haven't been able to do that. I've spoken with the IT department numerous times, and they told me that the system needs to be upgraded, which we knew because we let the program that IGT gave us expire. Where do we stand on getting that up and running for the neighborhood kids once our rec centers open back up?
So I have some good news for you. Back in this past February, we made a purchase of some hardware that's intended to replace not just Joslyn, but the computers at just about all of the rec centers. Some of them are still in fine working order and are still supported. So we have that equipment. It's secured and it's ready to go. We were, in the midst of all this, we were in the process of coordinating the schedule with the rec department to get into the rec centers during the day. So someone could let us in, we could pull out the old hardware. It would take a day or two to get everything set up and get the new hardware in. So the good news is I have the equipment. It will be ready to go once we are able to get back into those buildings.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, Pro Tem. Continue, sir.
Why can't we get into the buildings? I mean, our rec directors are getting paid to stay home, I believe, as well. Why can't they go during the day and meet somebody from the IT department so we can get these up and running? I mean, why can't we get in there?
Well, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, over the past several months, we've been focusing on emergency operations and supporting our workforce, getting new laptops out for people, getting people connected and running remotely. So that has been our focus. We've taken the staff that would have been installing computers in rec centers and redirected them to make sure, to the best of our ability, we have city operations running. So once we have the time available and when we can coordinate with the rec centers, as long as it's safe to do so, yes, we absolutely would love to get into those buildings and get those devices upgraded.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any further questions on this?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Director. And if you could contact the internal audit tomorrow about citywide Wi-Fi, okay?
Will do.
Thank you. And I need the license bureau. Okay, so next up was the license. Was it license bureau?
Yep.
Oh, here you go. So,
Mr. Chair, the solicitor is here.
well, okay, if you want, then we'll do those. All right. Is that the solicitor? Is that city solicitor McGruff? Is that who's there? Huh?
No,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it's Solicitor Dana. Good evening.
Okay. All right, hang on 1 second. Once we open it up. Oh, there it is, right there.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll take the law department. All right. Then, committee members, you want to go to your 3-box report for the law department? Sorry?
Would you like Mr. President?
Oh, yes. Who's gonna testify? Is just the city solicitor, who else?
Yes.
Okay, then swear him in, and we'll go from there, okay?
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Jeffrey Dana, City Solicitor.
Thank you. Welcome, solicitor. I think, Mr. Mancini, I think you take us through your report and your 3-box report. We'll give you the mic, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, members of the committee. Madam Leader, good evening. I haven't seen you earlier.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is Department 101-105, Law Department. There is revenue in this department. The revenue is been budgeted at a level amount from last year at $76,200. The solicitor will discuss that revenue. It's revenue that's not quite predictable, but can occur on various occasions when there is recovery associated with the litigation that the solicitor's office files, mostly in antitrust or other cases of similar nature. With respect to expenditures, salaries for FY21 have been budgeted at $2,328,522, representing a decrease of $127,926 over the FY20 budget. And this decrease is due to increased attrition as the city plans to delay posting vacancies and will not be filling non-essential positions in FY21, along with any increased salary reimbursement for employees working on behalf of the Providence Public School District. As to benefits for FY21 are budgeted at $1,383,398, representing an increase of $11,442 over the prior year budget. Services for FY21 are budgeted at $2,437,908, an increase of $12,600 over the FY20 budget. And this increase, Mr. Chairman, is primarily due to a contractually obligated increase in the rent for space that is utilized at 444 Westminster Street, known as the Dolly Building. As to supplies, the total budget supplies for FY21 are $52,864, a decrease of $1,836 from the prior year budget. And this decrease is due to a reduction in stationery as printing is anticipated to be reduced in FY21. There are no capital expenses in this budget. With your permission, sir, I'll move from the narrative to the 3-box report. Looking at page 4 of the 3-box report, this is the revenue page. The department had scheduled revenue in FY20 versus FY21 of $1,200. It's expected to budget the same amount in FY21, and under miscellaneous revenue, it budgeted $75,000 in FY20, and once again, it'll budget the same amount. If I could stay on page 4 for the time being, Mr. Chairman, and direct your attention to the center box, the FY20 budget for miscellaneous fees was budgeted at $1,200. There was not much received. I think $11 in fees, and this represents, I believe, fees associated with photocopying. On the miscellaneous revenue, while it was budgeted at $75,000, they received $17,444 in the current year. And once again, by disclaimer, Mr. Chairman, this is not a revenue-generating department, but between finance department and the solicitor's office, we thought it'd be fair to put some placeholder position there because in other years, particularly in the past, there has been some larger revenue collections. So in fairness to the department, this is not a scheduled revenue department. Moving to page 5 of the 3-box report, directing your attention to the left box, you'll notice that you'll see the decrease in salary at the salary line of $134,430. We expect that overtime will increase by $3,000. The solicitor will explain the rationale behind that. There are 2 bargaining unit employees who represent the office, and they do actually work associated with collection activity that is done after the traditional workday, and it's collection activity that basically benefits the city, including its police detail account, and quite frankly has had great success in that area. Longevity expects to have a increase of $3,504 in the FY21 budget. While benefits are not the purview of the department, that will be discussed in the non-departmental portion of your budget review. Going down below, fees not classified is expected to be level funded at $1,350,000. Postage will be reduced by $300, as will be dues and subscriptions will be reduced by $2,400, and the payment of claims and damages has been set at $800,000 and $40,000. As you know, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, that amount has been in place for some time as the budgeted placeholder. It's difficult to measure claims and damages expenses during the year. That matter is basically settled at year end under the legal accrual as part of the city's year end audit. Repairs to office equipment has a reduction of $300 over the prior year. Rental of land and buildings, there's a natural increase in the rent associated with the rental contract in the allotted space at 444 Westminster Street. That increase is $12,000. Contractual services and training has an increase of $3,000, and miscellaneous expenses has a slight increase of $600. If I could direct your attention to page 6 of the 3-box report. Stationery will show a decrease of $1,636, and reference books for professional library and online update of legal services has been remained level funded at $48,000. That completes the review of 21 versus 20. Again, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll return back to page 5 to review the current year versus the projection at year end in the center boxes. We expect that the salary line will be at or below budget based on the ability of the department to stay within that budget, including attrition. Overtime this year has surpassed budget by $6,123, hence the reason why the budget for FY21 has been fine-tuned to request an additional amount for overtime. Longevity will show a decrease this year of $2,682, and overall the salary line for the Department of Law will have a $35,640 decrease in the budgeted amount. Benefits are not the purview of the department. Moving down below to fees not classified, it appears that fees not classified, which is predominantly the hiring of outside professional firms that have a specialty or unique expertise in the law under the direction of the solicitor in the solicitor's office. That line item expects to see a $100,000 savings this year. And we believe that'll come in at $100,000 below budget. Postage this year should be at or around budget. Dues and subscriptions similarly will be below budget, and payment of claims and damages, Mr. Chairman, at the direction of finance, we have projected that claim and damages line would be at least at budget, under the notion that it will be settled at year end when the year end audit is completed through the so-called legal accrual activity. Repairs to office equipment, we believe will be below budget by 300. Rental land and buildings will be exactly at budget, 224,568. Contractual services and training is at or below near budget at 27,000. And likewise, miscellaneous expenses will be at or near budget. Office furniture is slightly above budget. And then turning your attention to page 6, stationery will be below budget. And then lastly, reference books at 47,833 will be low budget. Overall, Mr. Chairman, this department will maintain a level or balanced budget for the year. I welcome any questions for the finance department, and the solicitor is here to answer questions on behalf of the department. And I believe he has submitted his table of organization and his annual report.
Committee members, you have any questions?
No, Mr. Chair.
Nope.
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. City Solicitor, you have overtime. Is overtime for whom? For the non-union members?
No, they're union members, 2 union members that the overtime is the time they spend working on collections of overdue police details. This was pursuant to the initiative started by you, Mr. Chairman, a few years ago when you noted that the overdue police details had risen to a fairly high number. So in conjunction with other relevant departments, the law department has taken an aggressive approach to reaching out to anyone who is overdue on police details, and through calls and letters has been quite successful at recovering quite a large percentage of police details. So we no longer have a very substantial amount that are beyond 60 days overdue.
Yeah, it was like almost $1 million at one time, wasn't it?
It was over $1 million.
Do you know where we are now? Like how much is still out there?
I don't know exactly where. I know we've recovered approximately $1 million or more over the course of the last 3 years, I believe. We're at a relatively normal flow. We do not have a very significant amount that remains over 60 days overdue.
Okay, great. Pay of claims and damages, the line 52192, $1,000. Does that include the repetitive, like the settlement lawsuits where the city has to pay so much every year for so many years? Those cases?
Yes.
So is that number baked? Is that payment baked into that $800,000 number?
Yes. I mean, I can defer to the CFO on exactly what calculations go into the legal accrual numbers, but the law department provides that information on an annual basis and even more frequently than an annual basis to the finance department for their purposes of calculating.
Are there any of those negotiated settlement payment plans? Do you have an age report? Anyone going to be coming offline soon? Like that we're going to be finally with our last payment? Because I know some of them, like what we paid for so many years, right? Because it was such a big number. Is that right? Mr. Mancini?
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, to the solicitor's testimony, which is accurate, much of the payment that processed through the claims and damages account are the routine payments, and many of them, believe it or not, are from the claims that are filed by citizens for potholes. Much of that goes to that claim on a regular basis to the claims committee. The cases that you referred to, Mr. Chairman, cases that either approached settlement or that were settlements that came as a result of court action or negotiation that could have included payments that were structured over more than one accounting period, are actually settled and reconciled at each year end as part of the year end audit. The finance department maintains a master list of those cases that are considered open and not yet settled. And annually, the finance department assigns a budget analyst along with a solicitor to go through each case and approximate some value, which is, Mr. Chairman, you may recall this conversation on prior testimony. Those are accounting work papers that are held by the outside auditor, basically to approximate values associated with city liability. It is not case value that is shared publicly for the reasons therein. It would be contrary to the defense of the city. So it is well regarded. It's an annual exercise. It's done with the city's external auditors. They review the work papers, and they also work off a letter that the solicitor and his team prepares that represents the fair representation of when that case would settle. So that truing up process occurs always at year end.
I recognize that, which is the potential exposures of pending cases. But I know of cases that were already settled or already done and complete where then the city negotiated a payment structure plan. If there was a payment due that required payment in the present year, it would go through that budget. So it goes to that line item of $800,000? That's what I'm asking. So it's baked in there? So do you have the laundry list of the outstanding cases that the city is now legally obligated to be paying in a structured settlement?
We do. We do. We can work off last year's audit papers, yes.
Can you forward to the internal auditor
Absolutely.
tomorrow so we can see how much? I'd like to know how much of that $800,000 is still those structured settlements. Do we know what the breakdown of that? It's like 400. Do you know 400? If it's 400,000, is it half and half? What is it?
I'd have to look at that, Mr. Chairman. It's not something that we look at daily, but I'd have to look at it.
And then also with minus the structured settlements we have to pay from that 800,000. I guess the rest is claims and damages like potholes and the small claims and stuff like that.
That's correct. That is correct.
Do we have an age report on how those claims are going? I know the claims committee handles that stuff, but who maintains like a report showing how, what are we doing? Like potholes up, they're down, claims are up or down? Is that
I couldn't answer that. I would imagine the committee on claims and either the city clerk, with due respect to the clerk's office, if not the solicitor's office, maybe the clerk could. I'm not sure. I see Ms. Southgate is online. I don't know if she has.
I can weigh in, Larry, if I may. I'd be happy to request that the claims administrator coordinate with the internal auditor to try to provide whatever information she would like.
Yeah, so I have her please contact the internal auditor tomorrow so we can get a sense of how things have been going the last few years. Like,
of course. The claims administrator will be able to produce reports that I think would be responsive to what would be helpful for the auditor.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you, Solicitor.
Right. And then I see auto allowance. Solicitor, can you explain the auto allowance? Who gets it?
Just one individual. It's a collective bargaining unit position that is a courier.
I mean, that's what they do. They're just a courier. That's what they do all day.
Yes.
Other stuff. Okay. Just for your department or for the whole city?
Technically, just for the law department.
But they can be utilized for other city purposes, hopefully.
Jeff, can I jump in for a sec?
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Chair, the courier does regularly perform courier functions for many departments, including public safety, if need be, as well as various departments in City Hall.
Because it says law clerk courier. Are they also a law clerk too?
The individual.
Sorry, Kenny, go ahead.
No, I know they retrieve mail. If mail's got to be picked up at the post office and various like office errands such as that. But mainly the focus is couriering for our department as well as others.
Okay. All right, thank you. One second. Okay, so let's, all right, any other questions on this budget this time? Committee members?
No,
Council
Mr.
members?
Chair, thank you.
General Auditor?
No, sir.
Okay, and with that said, I thank you, City Solicitor and staff. I appreciate your time, energy, and effort, and thank you. All right?
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess we can go next with the License Bureau.
Yes, sir. I believe Ms. Kilkenny is here, Mr. Chairman, and needs to be sworn in.
Yeah.
Please raise your right hand, Ms. Kilkenny. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Heather Kilkenny, License Administrator, City Registrar.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Mancini, you have it? Mr. Mancini, you have the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the Department 101905, Bureau of Licenses. Am I on? Okay. Mr. Chairman, this in fact is a revenue generating department. Revenue is budgeted this year at $1,252,526, representing a decrease of $297,149 from the FY20 budget of $1,549,675. This, Mr. Chairman, this decrease is due to an anticipated reduction in licensing revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we'll discuss that in greater detail when we get to the 3 box. Expenditures for this department include salaries for the FY20 budgeted at $486,021, a decrease of $9,442 from the prior year budget. And again, this change is due to increased attrition as the city plans to delay posting vacancies and will not be filling non-essential positions in FY21. Benefits for fiscal year 21 is budgeted at $313,724, an increase of $6,458 over the prior year budget. Services will be budgeted for FY21 at $131,500, an increase of $1,250 over the FY20 budget. Supplies are budgeted at $1,400 for FY21, a decrease of $600 from the FY20 budget, and there is no capital expenses in this budget. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to page 127, and we'll start with the revenue of the Department of Bureau of Licenses. Moving to the left box, comparing 21 versus FY20. In grand total, you'll see that there's a $290,000 reduction in revenue expected for the FY21 budget. This budget was prepared in a time and manner and fashion while COVID-19 had already presented itself in terms of impact to commerce and business. The largest reduction you'll see is the anticipated reduction in the liquor license category. Not so much in liquor license renewal of those established businesses, but those businesses that would have probably been on the fringe of remaining open, or those businesses that would have sought additional licensing opportunities, including sidewalk cafe, Sunday liquor sales, et cetera, et cetera. We're anticipating no revenue in the tobacco area, a reduction in dance and exhibition, again, due to the closure of those related businesses, and so on and so forth. And the remainder of that schedule of licensing activity, Mr. Chairman, is before you, where you can see a display of that information as to what revenues are expected to either decrease or increase. But in total, we're expecting a $290,000 decrease in that category. As to fines and penalties, once again, we're expecting a decrease of $9,000. And then regarding miscellaneous receipts for miscellaneous type of fees, you'll notice that overall for that category, we expect an increase of $2,450. The net difference for the year 21 versus the year FY20 is still an expected decrease or decline in revenue of $297,149. And Mr. Chairman, if I may, staying on that page, I direct your attention to the center box as we present to you an analysis of projected revenue by category in the FY20 budget and where we expect to be by FY20 year end. And again, for those major categories, we would expect that overall we would see about an $80,000 reduction in revenue. That's already showed up in revenue projections that the Department of Finance has presented in our last two monthly reports, showing that revenues would probably diminish over the last quarter of the year, and that is consistent with our observation and our projections. Fines and penalties, once again, that revenue would decline, as would the rest of those line items in that entire category. For the year FY20, we're expecting to see a $78,000 reduction, mostly due to the fourth quarter impact of COVID-19. This department's revenue is fairly solid. The budget as prepared by Ms. Kilkenny and her team is generally pretty on par and would have achieved budget balance and budget safety had there not been a COVID-19 impact. So I just pointed out for the record, Mr. Chairman. With your permission, I'd like to continue the three-box report and move to page 128 for expenditures. Beginning in the left-hand column, again, as we had noted, salaries were expected to decline by $10,214 over FY20. Moving along, that overtime will remain the same. Differential pay will have a slight reduction, as will alternate work week, and longevity a slight increase. So overall, the department is expecting a decrease in salaries of $9,442. While benefits are not the purview of the department, we'll skip through that to fees not classified. That's expected to be level funded at $43,000. The bulk of that is legal fees for outside counsel associated with the Board of Licenses. Postage will be reduced in half by $2,500. Advertising and marketing will be level funded. I should point out, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the advertising expense here is mostly offset by the advertising revenue that is paid for by the applicants, which appears on the page of revenue that I had discussed with you earlier. So it's really net neutral to the department. So it's level funded at the expectation of what those advertising costs will be to advertise the various liquor licenses, as well as other attributes of the Bureau of License. Printing is expected to be at level funding at $2,000. Repairs to office equipment will see a slight reduction in the budget of $250. And legal expenses, I misspoke, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Legal expenses appear separately here below at $35,000. The fees not classified, the largest portion of that is stenographer services. I apologize previously. On the legal expense line, expected to see a decrease in the FY21 budget of $4,000, while miscellaneous expenses will stay the same at $500. Stationery will reduce by $600. And that completes the three-box report on the expenditures. I'd like to direct your attention now to the center boxes, and starting with salaries. Salaries are expected to be below budget this year by $27,690, as will the overtime account be reduced by $5,064. There wasn't a need to send out the second shift licensed inspector as much as it was this year, and as we moved into COVID-19, the expense associated with that budget amount was not recognized due to the closure of many of those businesses that would have fell under the jurisdiction of the licensing bureau. Likewise, differential pay and alternate work week will be at or below budget. Longevity is projected to be slightly above budget. I think that was due to an earlier departure of a department employee. Overall, salaries are expected to be at or below budget. Moving down below to fees not classified, all of the expenses in this category will be below budget, saving the department $8,840 for the fiscal year FY20. Repairs to office equipment will be below budget, and legal expenses should be below budget at $33,000, as will be miscellaneous expenses. Overall, Mr. Chairman, this department will be at or below budget for the year. That completes my presentation for the Bureau of Licenses. They have filed their annual report and their organizational chart with the city clerk. And that completes that report. I'll be able to answer any questions, and the director is available as well.
Mr. Mancini, I'd like to, let's do budget statistics too at the same time, and then we can Q&A both budgets, okay?
Very good. Good choice.
Thank you, sir. So I'll let you go through the budget statistics aspect if you could.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second to pull together the paperwork. Well, Mr. Chairman, as you know, and as members of the committee, you know, Ms. Kilkenny is both licensed administrator and vital statistics administrator. So I will, for you now, your consideration, this is Division Department 101-903, vital statistics. This also is a revenue generating department. The budget for FY21 has been budgeted at $336,700, representing a decrease of $10,300 from the FY20 budget. And this decrease is mostly due to the shift of municipal ID fees from this department over to the companion department of Bureau of Licenses. Ms. Kilkenny can speak on that further, but that's the reason for the change in the revenue. As to expenditures, salaries for FY21 is $169,173, a decrease of $21,555. Again, this decrease is due to increased attrition as the city plans to delay posting vacancies and will not be filling non-essential positions in FY21. As to benefits for FY21, benefits are budgeted at $145,617, a decrease of $31,613 from the FY20 budget. Services for this department have been budgeted at $7,060, a decrease of $80 from the FY20 budget. Supplies for FY21 are budgeted at $1,190, a decrease of $510 from the prior year budget. And this decrease is due to an anticipated reduction in office supplies. There are no capital expenses for this particular division. With your permission, sir, I've moved to the three-box report, page 121.
Yes,
Moving to the left-hand column, you'll note that for FY21 versus FY20, the fee revenue is expected to be nearly identical at level funding, with the exception of moving the municipal ID program over to the licensing bureau, given that it more likely represents a licensing activity. And that'll true out when you compare the two budgets. Staying with page 121, if you will, Mr. Chairman, and going to the center boxes to discuss the current year projections to the current year budget, it appears that this department will be almost distinctly within budget, perhaps a $3,000 distinction, $2,986 of revenue not recognized. And quite frankly, it's a department whose revenue was impacted by COVID-19. But, Mr. Chairman, in fairness, they were still able to operate remotely, including the processing, unfortunately, of various instruments, including death certificates and necessary certificates issued through that office. But for the most part, we'll be at budget. Moving to page 122 to cover expenditures in the three-box report. Moving to the left, we discussed previously, salaries will decline by $17,909. Overtime will be eliminated, and it will be a savings of $2,000. Longevity will have a reduction of $1,646. Net overall reduction in salaries for the year 21 versus the prior year 20 of $21,555 savings to the budget. Moving past benefits down to the expenses of operation. Postage will show a decrease of $80. Dues and subscriptions will remain level at $240. Copier lease and maintenance will remain level at $2,500. Miscellaneous expenses at $3,000, level funded. Down below, stationery will be show a reduction of $510. That really completes the expenditures. Page 123 is just a total page. If I could redirect your attention to the center box to compare the FY20 budget to the FY projection for 20. Salaries are projected to be below budget by $22,262. Overtime will be below budget by nearly 93% of that budget, while it was budgeted $2,000 will come in at only $140, representing a savings of $1,860 for the department. And longevity will have a reduction of $1,757. Total savings on salaries, $25,879 for the year. Moving past benefits and down to operational expenses. Postage will become slightly above budget at $150, but there'll be a savings on dues and subscriptions of $240. There was no expenditure projected for that category this year. It's a complete savings. Overall, that group of expenses will have a savings of $90. Copier lease is expected to be below budget. That might require some year-end review, but it certainly will be at or below budget. Miscellaneous expenses, again, at or below budget. Currently projecting a savings of $1,817, and loss on sale of fixed assets. I'm not quite familiar with that account, but it appears to be an expense of $286. Stationery is expected to come in below budget at $1,611, and that rounds out and completes the projection for the category of expenses. This division, likewise, under the direction of Director Kilkenny, along with Bureau Licenses, will come in at or below budget. That completes my report, Mr. Chairman. I'm available for questions, as is Director Kilkenny.
Any questions or comments by committee members?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any comments? All right. All right. Nothing, we all set on this? All right. Madam Director, I just want to check, Mr. Mancini, your workers, has the Board of License been actually operating the actual board itself?
So right now, we've paused the Board of Licenses. We are looking to have an advertised hearing within the next 3 weeks. And from there, I presume that we'll be resuming some sort of schedule for the board.
Okay. I'm sorry? Okay. And so you think next week you're gonna do something, you think?
So, well, we have a few pending liquor license transfers, and those require a 2-week advertisement in the Providence Journal. So we anticipate resuming board hearings within 3 weeks.
I know you and I spoke earlier. How's it going with the governor's phasing in for restaurants and stuff like that? And can you tell us what's happening with that on your end?
Sure. So we've been processing, if you will, a number of registrations for businesses that are basically operating within their scope of what is their usual seasonal expansion, or they're operating on their own private property. So those are basically just a registration, and we're just confirming that their insurance is up to date and that there's nothing that would warrant an inspection from fire department or otherwise require like a DPW review. That being said, anybody who's operating outside of the normal scope of what they've done in the past, looking for an expansion beyond the normal blueprint, we are referring them to what I hope is a very quick and easy application in Viewpoint. And that allows us to keep the fire department involved, DPW if necessary, Parks Department, any other department that may become a touch point to ensure that we are balancing the economic needs of these businesses with public safety.
Out of all the restaurants that we have in the city, how many do we have, I should say, do you know?
So I can tell you off the top of my head how many liquor licenses we have, and that's generally about 450 any given year for the past 3 years. Food licenses are probably about double that, so if it's food without a liquor license. So right now we have pending about 65, not pending, but either processed or businesses that are looking to do the outdoor dining. We have about 65 that have registered or applied.
That's what I was going to say. So out of hundreds right now, we have about 65 who applied for this.
That is correct.
If anybody, does that mean the other ones aren't opening up, or that just means they're just not asking for that exception, I guess?
So some of them are operating, but they're operating strictly as a takeout and delivery service. So we're finding a number of businesses that just don't think that, from what I can gather, that having, the 3 or 4 tables that this may allow them, it's just not worth it for them to hire a wait staff. So they're going to continue to operate with takeout or delivery. And again, I don't want to speak on behalf of those businesses, but that's been the general consensus that I've gathered from the establishments that we've spoken with.
So, and let me ask, when do they have to pay for when do we charge for their license to be renewed? Is it
sure? So that actually is, I'm sorry, yeah, that's determined by state law, and for the liquor licenses, that's December 1st.
And what about the food licenses?
Food licenses, I believe that's actually established by city ordinance, and that is in January.
Okay, so then that's when we'll start getting a sense this December, I guess, and next January of what businesses are surviving and what businesses are not. Because if they don't renew their license, right, we'll start seeing some of that, right?
I believe you are correct. We are trying to gauge some of that now. The inspector and the staff are reviewing applications, making points of contact, and just kind of touching base with the businesses to determine what their needs are, how they are operating, if there's any way that we can assist them. So we may have a little, I guess, maybe taste of what's to come in December and January. But I think you're correct in your assessment that that's the time frame that we'll really understand who is going to be on the other end of this.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions? Council members?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do.
Vice Chair?
If I may.
Sure.
Director, I know that the council has been asking your department or you to automate your department. There's a lot of connections that are necessary to manage the licenses that we have, the solicitor's office, zoning, inspections and standards. There's a lot of moving parts, and I know that you have been focused on automation. Can you just speak a little bit about what you've accomplished and what you've been working on regarding trying to automate the operation of your department?
Sure, yeah, gladly. It's actually a highlight of what we've accomplished in this past fiscal year. One of the things that we've been able to do based on some of the feedback that we received in the fall, winter, beginning of winter, was that zoning really needed to be a prerequisite for our licensing. And we saw that need, and we seized the opportunity to take Viewpoint, and that's our application process. That's our application software, Viewpoint. And we've instituted a step that is a kind of a prerequisite to all other steps, which is essentially the zoning piece. So we get that zoning confirmation ahead of time. So that actually has really helped out, and that was great feedback for us. Some of the other things that we've done is e-permitting. So instead of us printing up a license and mailing it, another reason why we're anticipating a lower fee on those mailing costs is that we're going to be issuing these permits through the online application. And again, that will eventually feed a GIS map that will be used by enforcement, including the license enforcement unit of Providence Police and our license inspectors. So that's actually really helpful as well, because an inspector or a police officer can pull up on an app what licenses exist at a specific location and have the information ahead of time, which may reduce the steps or help them engage better with those businesses. So those are a few of the steps. I mean, we've also right now we're working on implementing a step so that fire department can provide us with capacity for any new businesses, which I think will be really helpful as we go into this next period with the COVID. So
great.
I'm really proud of our department and some of the accomplishments this year.
Good for you. Thank you. I've spent a lot of time on the operations of the Board of Licensing, and I would just like to say I think you've done a great job over the years, and we've come a long way under your leadership. So congratulations, good job, keep it up. Thank you. Thank you for your service to the City of Providence.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much, and I'll share that with the staff as well, because I know they've been working hard too.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other comments or questions on this budget, this portion?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
No.
Thank you, Councilor Anthony and Councilor Ella. Thank you, Director. Thank you for doing the job you're doing. We know it's tough sometimes, and unfortunately, I think your department's going to see, unfortunately, potentially some of the fallout from this COVID-19 in the upcoming months. You're going to be seeing what's happening out there more directly. So, thank you for your service, and thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Mr. Mancini. All right. If I can indulge the committee members that I know we had one item, I want to continue it to another council meeting. It's getting late in the evening. It's the last one was the Office of Economic Opportunity. Again, we might make a motion to continue that one until the to a later date council, finance meeting.
So
Can I have
moved.
a motion?
So moved.
Vice Chair, make the motion. Second by Councilman Castillo. Discussion, all in favor, aye. Certainly, I want to thank everybody for participating this evening. Do you have last comments or questions from committee members?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
No?
And with that, first of all, I know it's been a long week for everybody. I want to thank, once again, I still want to thank the clerks, all the clerks that are working, the head clerk, everybody involved is doing a great job. I want to make sure I point it out. And of course, also the internal auditor, the treasurer, and all the financial teams on both sides. So I want to thank them for this continuing, working through this process with us during these trying times. So with that, and no more business before this honorable committee, can entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
By Vice Chair, second by Councilman Castillo and Councilman Taylor. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good evening.